Good afternoon. Thanks for coming. Recap Saturday's game. I think just after I said post-game, I thought a really impressive performance and a good start from our team. Saturday night to gain some momentum. You look at the opening kickoff, the ball is driven out of the back of the end zone. Second play of defense is a turnover. First play of offense is a 17-yard gain. I think we really got off to a great start in the sense of playing complementary football. Great home environment, great crowd, good way to get your home schedule kicked off. Review the tape, you see some things that you definitely want to get corrected and you want to go back and get back to work on. And we're going to work hard at that this week to get back here tomorrow morning, get on practice field and handle those scenarios. But some really good individual performances, MVPs of the game. Martez Pointer on defense had a great game. I thought his best as a Rocket maybe since he's been here. Chip Trainum, obviously, with outstanding individual performance there, running the football and catching the football. And then Dylan Cunanan, I thought, has been solid all season long, kicking the football, and obviously, was our special teams guy. So excited to put that one to bed. Looking ahead to Morgan State, an athletic team that plays really hard on both sides of the football. Well-coached team, and looking forward to getting back into Glassville Hill here Saturday. So that being said, I'll take your questions.
Jason, what's your impression so far of the run game through 2 weeks? I guess even more so that the Western Kentucky game, and just kind of how Chip and Kenji kind of play off each other, and how much does that help you as an offensive player?
Well, two different style of running backs, but both have a great understanding, or getting a great understanding, continually week after week getting better in the understanding of what we're asking them to do. I think there's a couple runs out there that are still there to get that were left out on tape, but I think those guys' approach to being new players to our system and to our program have done everything we've asked them to do, and they're going to continue to improve. Our O-line is going to continue to improve in the sense that the timing in the run game is really, really critical. And, there's holes there. There's, places where the back's got to make the right cut at the right time. And then I think the more that you play, the more real live at-bats you get, the better off that is. And, I think that, hopefully we start to see some more of that here Saturday as well.
They've shown they can both be pretty explosive catching the football as well. How big of an added element is that when you have a running back who can do that?
Well, you want to play with five threats, right? You want to play with five guys in the passing routes if you can. We've had times where we've had a tight end here who couldn't, be a threat as a pass receiver. You're playing with four. You've had backs at times where they were not a threat receiving the football either, and you're playing with four. And if both of those guys can't do it, you're playing with three. That's really easy for a defense to defend. So when you have five guys that can get out into the pass route and can really do damage and win one-on-one battles, that's really hard to defend. And that allows us to be very multiple. So, that skill set and that having that asset is something that, we got to use to our advantage.
You've had a day or two to reflect on setting the wins record. Just what does it kind of mean to you now you've thought about it, and just kind of seeing all the people who have reached out and congratulated you?
Well, I mean, obviously that, I haven't thought a ton about it. We get out of here at 4 a.m. or whatever time we get out of here after playing at midnight Saturday. I mean, it's a late game, and, you're right back in here Sunday on to fixing the mistakes from that and then on to this week. So, but I watch the videos. I see the congratulatory things, and obviously just would echo what I said Saturday. Very humbled to be at a place where winning is really important. When that's the case, it attracts good people. We've had a lot of good coaches that have come in here before me and done a really, really good job. They've set the table for what I've been able to accomplish here. I'm not even remotely close to be able to accomplish anything that we've been able to do here without great people in our building too. So the assistant coaches and the support staff members, some of these guys have been with me for 10 years. Outstanding, and there's their loyalty and their commitment to our program. And then when you have that in place, you allow yourself to recruit really good people and really good players. And there's been a ton of those. I mean, you can just walk out in that hallway over here and you see the names they go on and on and on. So it's good to be at a place where winning is important. It's good to be at a place where football is really important. And just honestly, that thing Saturday is just it's just a product of everybody else around me.
You guys have been great creating turnovers these first couple games. How big of like a momentum boost, energy boost is that when you make those plays?
Yeah, I mean, that's when you can limit possessions by taking the football away, and in not just football, any sport, the key to wins to me is points off of turnovers, and that's where you see big momentum swings, whether that's on the football field or whether that's on a basketball court. So to be able to get them and then to turn those into points, that's a big deal. And you could really say, the fourth down stop, that's just that's equal to, if not better than, an interception or a fumble recovery. So, been able to get them. We got to continue to find ways to continue to add points to the board when we do get those. They've come in a multitude of different ways. Some really good individual performance snapshots there, and then a couple really good schematic things that our coaches put together to help our team.
Each week is different. Obviously, each opponent's different. But is there any sense of momentum that you can carry from how well you guys played, especially in that first half?
Yeah, I mean, adversity is, we got to see adversity as a catalyst for growth. I mean, you got to learn and work off of the failures that you have, and then ultimately at the end of the day, too, you got to learn from the successes. And when you have those, where I'm on this journey, where can I pull? What good can I pull from adverse moments and moments of prosperity? Like, where can I stay in my lane and do what I have to do based off of those two things? That's every team's challenge. And obviously, we here, the outside people away from these seats, here it's always way better than what it is, and it's always way worse than what it is. So the truth is somewhere in between there. We've got to handle that part of it. We've got to stay emotionally in the moment. Our team, ultimately, as a group, our players have to understand that you can learn a lot from the past. We all want to prepare for what the future looks like, but we got to ultimately produce in the present, and I think that's every team's challenge, and certainly, that's our biggest thing right now.
I apologize if I missed this on Saturday. Tucker's availability, do we know where he stands?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we get back on the practice field tomorrow. That's, you get 48 hours from a Saturday game before you get back out and try to, really 48 hours plus to see where he can be at and what he's going to do. So I'll know more tomorrow after practice.
There's always, perception that these FCS games are kind of a cakewalk. I mean, two MAC teams lost to FCS teams last weekend. Morgan State last year hung with Ohio. They hung with South Alabama this year. How much does that kind of grab your attention?
Well, the schedule kind of sets up the very same, right? They played Townsend last year in a nail-biter, week 2. Same thing here. They go to Ohio and, probably should have won the game. You make the argument, really not make the argument that it's true. They played Ohio better than we did. That's just the fact of it. So, we got to see the opponent. We got to know what we're watching on tape and watch the individual battles. In college football, you could play the number 1 team in the country, and then the next week you could play the worst FCS team in the world. And that particular player that you play against, you don't know each week what your one-on-one battle is going to be. So some players are going to play against the best player they've played against to date in this season on Saturday. Might not be that way at every position, but your responsibility is to win your one-on-one battle. Our players got to understand you get 12 opportunities to play a game. They all count as one. Don't care who you play, where you play them at, what their history of what program it is, or what it is. This is an opportunity to get better, improvement from our own players from week 2 to week 3, and win your one-on-ones. And I think that's what we're facing.
You guys get another home game. You only get a handful of these each season. How beneficial is to have a crowd like that in the Glass Bowl?
Yeah, Saturday night was really impressive. Great showing by our city, great turnout. The things that go along with the game day production I thought was excellent. Fans, students, people involved. Student section was awesome. They were involved from start to finish. Then ultimately, we got off to a good start, so that part of it helps as well. But, hats off to our administration for doing a great job of creating an environment where people would like to come to the game. And, if the team plays well or they don't play well, it's not, the highs and lows don't just ride off of that. It's a really good experience for fans. And, I think everybody appreciates that. My kids appreciate that, And, an 8-year-old my 8-year-old daughter doesn't know how many interceptions we had or how many fumble recoveries we had or whatever, but she knows there's cool stuff going on and she stays engaged, and I think that's today's college football.
On that subject, what are the biggest factors in home field advantage or road games being difficult? Obviously playing a good opponent matters, but crowd noise, things like that. How much do they matter? How much is it difficult just sleeping in a hotel and being unfamiliar? Things what all kind of factors into that?
Well, we're creatures of habit, and you want to make sure that you can, maintain your routine the best you can. You throw a 5-hour bus ride in there, that's a little bit different for the away team than it is a home team. That happens all over our league. That's just what it is. That's where we're at. But I think the pageantry that we love about college football as fans, that we love about, the things that go into the game, that experience of, just the impressions, right? I mean, we're talking about human beings and senses here, right? What I see, what I hear, what I smell of game day. Like it's different at every place. And when it's done correctly, at the right time, I think that creates a significant advantage for the home team.